I'll probably say it was my second day on the visit. My parents and I were on a golf cart touring campus with one of the guys, and I was just like, I can really see myself being here. Like, this is where I want to be. So that was when I knew.
When did you end up telling Coach Golden that you're going to become a Gator?
It was right before they dropped me back off at the airport. We had a little meeting in his office, and he was like, he was just telling me how much they wanted me and stuff, and I was like, yeah, you don't have to tell me anymore. I'm in. So that was definitely an exciting moment.
So what was his reaction when you told him?
Oh, he jumped out of his chair, gave me and my parents a big hug, and everybody was excited. So it was definitely one to remember.
What's going on today? I'm the host, SchuZ, Schumaker, and joining me today is one-time Ohio Valley Conference All-Newcomer team selection, two-time Ohio Valley Conference Freshman Player of the Week, one-time Georgia 4A state champion, one-time Georgia first-team All-State selection, and he's the first commit in the Todd Golden era, Will Richard. Will, I appreciate you taking time to come on today, man. Of
Yeah, but I appreciate you having me.
course, man. Well, you came off of an incredible freshman season at Belmont. You entered the portal. I know it's hectic for yourself, but you're committed now. You're a Florida Gator. What's going through your mind right now?
I mean, it's definitely a huge relief being out of recruiting stage again. Just looking forward to getting out in Florida and getting to work.
You got to walk us through this a little bit. I mean, we're gonna get through it more towards the end of the interview, but just to go through this process to now know that you found a new home, know that you're looking forward to going to school like Florida. How excited does that make you now for this next chapter of your life?
Definitely really excited. Just knowing the history that Florida has in its basketball and just knowing what they want to get back to build into is definitely something I want to be a part of, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we're going to get into Florida, what you can bring to that program, the school, the recruiting process more, like I said, in the end of this. But I want fans here to know how you became the Ohio Valley Conference newcomer selection, a guy that's become one of the top freshmen in the country, period, last season. So if we head all the way back, you're originally from Georgia, Fairburn to be specific. What was it like growing up out there?
I moved down to Atlanta going into my freshman year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say coming to Georgia, it's a basketball state for sure. So being down here definitely got me a lot better with the competition and all that. So moving to Georgia really helped me a lot as far as basketball wise.
Now, walk us through that a little bit, because when you go to a place like Georgia, that is an incredible state for sports in general, but basketball has always been solid. But this past 5, 6, 7 year span has been special. You talk about Anthony Edwards, guy like that, but then you talk about Scoot Henderson, now Jabari, Matthew Cleveland, yourself, the list goes on.
Yeah.
What's the basketball culture like out there?
I'll say like everybody's in tune with it. Everybody's a lot of good guys, a lot of players working hard to get to where everybody wants to go, which is the NBA. So it's definitely a lot of competition and just a lot of people to surround yourself to get better.
When you were growing up, was basketball the sport that kind of just got put in your hands and you ran with it from there? Were you trying other sports, or what kind of got the ball first put in your hands?
According to my parents, they say that basketball has been in my hands ever since I was a baby. So I think just playing basketball has always been something that I love to do, and it's been a part of me ever since I was little.
When you were growing up, when was the point that you started realizing that this is something that you wanted to do going forward? I mean, obviously it was always something enjoyable, but when did you start saying, this could be something that I could play through high school, but I could possibly have this pay for school. I could possibly even go further than that, play professionally. When did you start accepting basketball as that type of passion for yourself?
It was always a part of me, but I'll probably say I started getting really serious about it was probably when seventh grade hit. I was playing football and basketball until then, but I had to talk to my parents, and I was like, I don't love football like I do basketball, so I'm ready to lock in on basketball for forever now.
Now, when you were talking about going out to Atlanta, then what was the difference in terms of places that you grew up in? When you were going out to Atlanta, then like what's the differences and just kind of the feeling of the culture of basketball and just the state or the area in general? What was that like?
I'll say Atlanta's a lot bigger than where I was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So just that being bigger, a lot more exposure when it comes to basketball. A lot more guys out there wanting to train you and wanting to get you better. A lot more AAU programs. It's just a lot of resources out there to help you get to where you want to be.
One of those top players from that area is one of your teammates, Walker Kessler, who we're talking on in a second. But if you had to give me one, maybe a couple of different guys that you'd say were your favorite guys to match up with throughout your Georgia career, who'd you say was your favorite one, maybe one or two guys that you love matching up against?
I definitely like playing against Matthew Cleveland. We played them a few times in high school. He was a good guy. We played Jabari in state playoffs. That was a great game, great atmosphere. Robbie Armbruster, he always brought a different edge to the game, so that was definitely fun. So it's definitely a lot of good guys. It's a long list for sure.
There is a certain culture, and the guy you just mentioned, Robbie, he also just transferred out of Stephen F. Austin today.
Yeah.
He maybe is the highest version of that type of culture. He's got the whole dog mentality to the most extreme. But even guys like you said, yourself, Matthew Cleveland, Jabbar, like all guys still have a certain brand of basketball that comes from being from Georgia. So explain a little bit, like when you come from that area, what kind of is brought up in you? Like what kind of makes a Georgia basketball player?
I'll definitely just say it's a different edge coming from Georgia. Like, every time you step on that court, it's time to kill. So I feel like everybody has that dog. Robbie probably has it to the highest extent out of everybody, but you always have that edge coming from Georgia.
Part of that is overall, I mean, now I'd say it's not necessarily slept on as much anymore. I mean, you guys are still getting ranked highly now. There's a lot of media coverage. But in your case, you still were slept on. Part of that, I think, was due to COVID. We'll talk about that in a second. But what was it about being a slept on type of player? Got some offers. You always knew you'd be a Division I player. You had offers throughout your career, but obviously they weren't to the level that you were capable of playing at. So what about that helped kind of fuel you into the person and player that you are today?
I mean, I'll just say it definitely made me want to work even harder than I already was. It's always, you can know that you can make it to that level and play the level that you know you can, but working hard to show others was the main thing that fueled me, and just keep working and controlling what I could control.
So when you were heading into high school as a freshman, before you ever stepped foot and played any games, what were your expectations? Did you think you were going to become a Division I player? Did you think you'd be a high major type player coming out of high school? Or what were your expectations and goals heading into high school?
Heading to high school, it was definitely just, I wanted to be on varsity as a freshman. That was my main goal, but I knew that it was going to take a lot of work to get to that Division I level. So I'm not going to lie, coming into high school, I was like 230 pounds, 6'2". So I knew I had a lot of work to do to get to that level. So just knowing that I was going to have to put in the work to get to where I wanted to be was a huge part for me.
If someone told you that you would become a Division I player leaving high school, would that have shocked you, or what would your reaction have been?
I wouldn't have been shocked by it at all, because I knew that was what I was gonna do. But to the year that I've had, I would have been shocked by that, because I wasn't expecting probably at that age to have as good as a year as I did.
Well, let's hop into your freshman year. You start off your high school career at Fayette County High School. Walk us that decision. Like, why was that the school you want to start off your career at?
Just going and moving to Georgia, we had some close friends that were from that area, and they told us it was a good basketball program, good coach. So that was just that's just where most like we knew it was a good place to be and to start my high school journey off. So that was a move for us.
Take us to that first year of high school basketball for yourself. What was that like?
It was actually a lot shocking. The conditioning was probably the craziest part for me. I wasn't expecting to be running that much coming into high school, but it was a good year. I started off on JV, and then I probably played 3 games JV, and then went straight to varsity and ended up starting some games on varsity. So it was a good freshman year for me.
Your sophomore season, you had a pretty solid year as well. As a team, you guys went 26-6. You averaged right around 10 points a game, 6 rebounds. What was that sophomore year like for yourself?
Sophomore year was a really huge jump for me. I got a lot better that summer going into sophomore year, and we knew we were going to be a good team. We should have won the state championship, but didn't get it. But I had a really good year that year as well.
One aspect about your game that has carried with you every place you stop now throughout high school, AU, now obviously in your first year in college, has been your rebounding ability. And you obviously are 6'5". You're solid height, but that's not necessarily anything compared to like a big man or something. What allows you to become that? And how have you become such a dominant rebounder at your height and at your position?
I feel like I just have a good knack for knowing where the ball is going to end up, knowing different moves and techniques and stuff to get around defenders when they're boxing me out. I've had that ever since I was growing up. So it's something that stuck with me since then.
When was the first time you started realizing that? And then also at the same time, how have you learned to really key in on that and make it one of your best traits as a player?
My sophomore year was when I was like, it's really something I'm good at. I probably had like a 25 and 16 double in a game. And I was like, yeah, I could be able to do this every game if I wanted to. So that was really when I was like, yeah, this is something that's a big part of my game that I can live off of.
Following that sophomore season, you decide to transfer out then and you go to where you create your net legacy at then at Woodward Academy. What went that decision? Like, why did you decide, okay, after your sophomore year, I'm going to take it to this next jump. I want to go here. What
Mhm.
that transition, like, what led you to that decision?
I would just say being able to get a little bit more exposure, and of course, Woodward Academy is a great academic school. So going somewhere where I knew I'd get prepared for college went into that decision as well. So
That is another aspect about yourself. You are a high academic person, and some of the schools, even just this past time in the portal, were schools like Stanford that only go after some of the high academic students. So, what led you to that personality? Like, was it your parents that kind of forced it on you? Was it something you just personally said, I want to make academics a priority, or who established that in yourself?
parents for sure, probably mom in my own particular. She
Mhm.
stresses education comes first, no matter what. So getting my books has always been something that's been a part of me.
When you look long term, obviously basketball, playing the NBA professionally is number one, but post basketball career, have you decided on what you want to do, or at least a couple ideas that you're interested in?
I'm really interested in getting like a marketing job with NBA team or something like that. So that's definitely the main thing after basketball.
Well, you go into that junior season, and this was a breakout season for yourself, and you're part of a team that I mentioned his name a little bit earlier. Walker Kessler's on, and he does this thing out there. He's obviously one of the top players in the entire country, a five-star recruit. What
Mhm.
was it like just playing that season? You have a breakout season. You're playing alongside Walker. You guys win a state championship. What was that year like?
It was great. I mean, transferring to Woodward and playing with guys like Walker, like they really accepted me and made me one of them. I felt like a family, and we had fun every time we played. So playing alongside guys like him was really fun, and it helped me in basketball a lot.
When you got there and you transferred there originally, did you know Walker? Or was that the first time you got to know him?
That was the first time I had to know him.
So, what was your first initial reaction? Because he obviously has pretty much always been a well-known recruit for a majority of
Mhm.
his career. But what was that first time you got to get to know Mike?
To be honest, at first I was kind of thinking like he's a 5 star. He has to be kind of stuck up a little bit, but he's one of the most down to earth people I've ever met, and that's like one of my best friends. So he's a really good guy.
All right, you got to give us your craziest Walker Kessler story from all the time you were with him that one year. What's the craziest story? Whether it be a practice and a game, like what's the craziest Walker Kessler story you got?
Craziest Walker Kessler story. Man, it's a lot. Probably we were in Peoria, Illinois, and we were walking around the streets and stuff like that before our tournament. And he's just walking around making a lot of different noises and stuff, acting like animal. And he's huge, but he's really like a big kid. So it was funny for me to see that.
Getting to play alongside him and practice against him at the same time had to be huge for yourself because he's a guy that was going to become a North Carolina commit at the time. He was close to becoming a Division One player, the same type of player that you wanted to be in a year or so.
Yeah.
How big was it just being able to learn from him, see the way he works out, see the way he
Mhm.
plays? Like, how big was that for you in your career?
I learned a lot, and being around him definitely motivated me because I wanted to be at the level that he was at and where he was going to be. So just being around him all the time, it definitely did a lot for me in terms of getting better and working on my game.
When you guys went into the season, I'm sure the goal was to win a state championship, but would you guys have been shocked if someone told you that you guys were going to come away as 4A state champions heading into that season?
Not shocked at all. That was the goal since the day that I transferred in. So we all were on the same page with that one.
At that same point of the course of that season, you start to get more and more offers, and we'll get heavily into the recruiting process in a little bit, but just starting to get more and more attention, starting to get a spotlight put on yourself.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I'd definitely say it was really good for me. I mean, going into my junior year, I wasn't knowing how I was going to be in terms of recruiting. I was it wasn't being recruited at all. So being able to go out there and play, have a good season, and start getting some offers, it really felt good for me and my confidence.
I want you to take us to that state championship run because winning a state championship anywhere is not necessarily easy, but especially in a state like Georgia, what was that like? Just take us to that championship run, and when you guys finally came away as state champions, what was that moment like?
It was great. I mean, it was a lot of work that went into that season. The whole team was committed. They were investing into working out almost every day, practicing every day. And I mean, we lost. I think we went like 30-2 that season. So just all the work that we put in and seeing it pay off, it was really special.
Then following that season, you head into your senior year, but in the middle of all this going on right now, COVID comes into play. You're starting to deal with all the side effects from that, cuts out
Mhm.
your AAU season and everything like that. So, how did you deal with that? What was it like just battling through the pandemic, and how did you get through that?
It was hard to say the least. I'll probably say I wasn't able to get in the gym for about 2 or 3 months. So I was outside in my driveway working out, getting shots up and running basically from home. And even my trainers, like they were doing Zoom workouts just because we couldn't get in the gym. So it was different for sure.
So you head into that senior year, then you guys don't win a state championship that run. You guys still go 17-7, but the big thing is that Walker's gone. A couple other guys obviously move on too. This was your team now, and you do step up. You become all-state first team. You average 24 a game, almost 9 rebounds.
Yeah.
What was it like taking on that star role now?
I would say it was really helpful for what I was going to do in college. I mean, I felt like I had to do a lot in high school that senior year. So just being able to show my versatility and be more involved, it definitely helped a lot in terms of growing my game.
Did you expect to have that much of a breakout season that year, or did you shock yourself at all in terms of how well you did that season?
I definitely thought I was going to have a really good season that year, especially with guys like Walker not being there. I knew the attention was going to be on me a lot, so I knew that I had to perform in order for our team to get wins.
When you look at the all-state teams and you see some of the guys that you're competing alongside and you got on that team alongside with, the other thing I guess we're going to get back into in a second, though, is that some of those guys are guys that are NBA bound, top 5-star recruits. For yourself at that point, you still were only ranked on 24/7, and that was on the back end of it. You were a 3-star, had some offers.
Mm-hmm.
What was going through your mind at that point when you just said, okay, I'm competing at this level, I'm playing at a similar, at least close to level as some of these other top level guys?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the disconnect in that? So how did you kind of deal with that when you looked at it that way?
Well, at that point, I had been under recruited and overlooked my whole high school career. So it was just like I did what I could do. Now it's time to show what I can do on the college level. And after that season, it was just getting ready to prove more people wrong at the college level than I did at high school. So it was just definitely something that just kept motivating me.
So you look back at your high school career, what's your favorite memory you create on the court?
Favorite memory is definitely the state championship.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing ever beat that yet.
Besides the state championship, is there one game, a matchup you had against someone that you'd say was your favorite game you played in your high school career?
I'll probably say we played in the tournament in Peoria, Illinois, and we played Millennium in the state championship. They had like Deron Holmes. They had a few other good guys. So we played them in the state championship. We're down by at halftime. And even then, the whole team were like, we're about to go win this. So we came back out of halftime and ended up winning that whole tournament. So that was probably the best one.
Now, I do want to talk about overall your career when you look at everything you learned from it, the ups and downs, of course, the fact that you weren't ranked too high, didn't have all the offers. But what would you say is the biggest thing that you took from your high school career and brought to your college career? Rather it be a mentality, a lesson you learned, a part of your game. What was the biggest thing you took from high school that you've now brought to your college self?
I would say the biggest thing is just blocking out all the tweets and stuff like that, all the social media stuff about who ranks higher and stuff like that. It's just controlling what you can control and just keeping your head down and working. Because at the end of the day, everybody has to compete on that court. So just keeping my mind focused on that is something that helped me a lot.
You brought me into what I do want to get into now, and that was the rankings a little bit more deeper because I've always been vocal about that. I'm not someone that's high in rankings. They are what they are. They're kind of at the same time just like, okay, these guys must be talented, but the rankings are hard to do because for me, at least, I look at them in terms of NBA outlooks, who's going to make the league. And there's people all over the world that's not being ranked because they only rank guys in the country. At the same time, they're not going to be able to see every single player in the country at the same time enough too. So that's the story for a lot of guys. And there's plenty of guys that have similar stories to yourself that weren't ranked high or ranked in the back end, become one and done players, whatever it might be. But for you, I know it's hard because a lot of high school players, they do want to be ranked. It'd be cool to be a 5-star, top 100. It gets a lot of notoriety for your name.
Yeah.
Was that challenging for you at any point throughout high school?
I'll probably say my junior year was a little challenging because I knew I was good enough to be in those rankings, but just not getting any notoriety at all, it was kind of tough. But that's when I learned to keep my head down through it all.
Has being someone that was under recruited and under ranked throughout high school, has that given you a certain chip on your shoulder, or has that basically just been something that you say, okay, it is what it is. I just kind of ignored it. I'm just going to be who I am and when I get to college?
It's definitely giving me a chip. I mean, every time I go on the court now, I have to kill because there's probably somebody ranked higher than me on the court as well. So, I mean, it's definitely giving me a chip on my shoulder.
On the other side of that, let's go through your recruiting process. It all starts off with North Alabama. That's your very first school you got. You also went on a visit there to kick it all off. But what was that day like when you did get that first Division I offer? Walk us through how it happened and what your reaction was to that.
I think we had a tournament at Lake Point that day. It was Under Armour tournament, and I had a really good game. North Alabama was there, so I played really good. They ended up calling me while me and my parents were at dinner and telling me that they wanted to offer me. So that was definitely a huge point in my life. My parents were really excited, of course. That's free college, so they were really excited. I was excited too, but I knew it was a lot more work to do.
As you got more and more offers, I know at the same time you had to be grateful. Obviously, it was great. You were a Division I player at school being paid for.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, too, when we talk about the fact that you were playing at a similar level to guys that were NBA bound, guys that had offers from every school in the country, did you ever start getting down yourself in that aspect, saying, okay, these are great, I love them, awesome, but why God am I not getting a school like an Auburn or an Alabama or one of those that's even in the SEC close to where you're living? Did that ever get to you too at the same time?
Not really. I was just blessed to be able to get the opportunity to play at a Division I level. And I mean, you see stories like CJ McCollum, John Moran, all making NBA careers from these mid-major schools. So that was my mindset. I was thinking I can be the next one of those guys.
I read in one of the bios, I think it was a Belmont bio, when you talk about your favorite player was CJ. I'm not sure if he still is or not, but having a guy that had a similar story to yourself in terms of the under-recruited, under-ranked type of player, how big has it been seeing those type of stories and help motivate you to become the player that you are now?
It's definitely huge. I mean, it just shows that you can make it to the NBA from anywhere. So if you put in that work in, then anything is possible.
And there are going to be plenty more players that have similar stories to you now in the future, guys that are still dealing with the COVID effects and all that. What's your advice to them? If they're juniors or seniors in high school right now, they're not getting offers, they're not being ranked. What's your advice to them?
I mean, like I said, just control what you can control, keep working. And every time you go out that court, I mean, you got to know it's something on the line. So you gotta go out there and show what you can do every time you're out there.
So you go through this recruiting process. I know North Alabama you took a visit to, Willie Furman as well, a couple other schools that were in the mix.
Yeah.
When did Belmont come into the picture?
Well, to be honest, Belmont was like one of the last schools to actually offer me. And so when COVID hit, I was planning on going up to Loyola Chicago and just walking around because that was my main school, and that didn't end up working. So Belmont was the next priority. They were talking to me since my sophomore year. So I mean, I had a good relationship with their coaching staff, and just knowing how much they value me and stuff like that. That's when I knew that was a school for me.
I know you're a believer, so I do want to get into that a little bit. How big was your faith in terms of all the stuff going on? Because going through your story situation with everything, and at the same time going through COVID and everything happening at the same time too, how big was having your faith and trusting God to help find you the right place amidst everything going on? How big was it your faith for you that time?
I mean, it was huge. I mean, it's definitely a good amount of peace knowing that God is in control, and just knowing that He was going to put me where I needed to be, and His purpose was greater than what I was thinking in my head. So just knowing that He was going to guide me through everything really helped a lot.
So when Belmont came into the picture, did they all of a sudden just become the number one team? All those schools kind of fell out for you. You said, okay, this is where I know I need to go. Or was there a top two or three for you kind of that you kept within your circle?
It was probably Loyola Chicago and Belmont. And so when Loyola Chicago didn't work out, I was like, okay, Belmont's a spot for me.
So what was about Coach Alford? What did he do to help win you over?
I would just say just being able – I talked to them a lot throughout the process. They were really persistent and stuff like that. And then just knowing the history of the program, they win a lot of games. They're always at the top of the conference. They go to the tournament. So just knowing that, and they produce some pros. So just knowing that they did all those things were really helpful.
Let's head into this past season, because you get to campus and, as you said, this is a team that pretty much year in, year out expects to win at least 20 games. You're supposed to be in the mix of winning the Ohio Valley Conference. You're supposed to be a dominant team, and this was a very experienced team. Talk about Grayson, about Nick, Luke, Ben. Jacoby also was coming back, and he was the sixth man as a sophomore at that point.
Yeah.
What did you expect to do this season? Obviously, I know you knew that you were talented, you knew you're a great player, but there was a lot of experience in this team. So what did you expect to have happen in your freshman year?
I mean, knowing that it was a veteran team, I was definitely just expecting to be a star in whatever role I work for. So definitely starting with something that I wanted to do, but just being able to come in, I think my goal was to average like 10 and 5 before the season. So just coming in and being able to play my role to help the team get wins.
When you were going through training camp, was there a freshman wake-up moment? Because like I said, you got veterans out there. I know all freshmen kind of struggle the first few weeks. So some guys even take a whole year or whatever. Do you remember if there was a freshman wake up moment for you?
Yeah, I would say I think I was guarding Grayson, and
Mhm.
nobody was talking to me behind me, and I got hit by a screen, and my chest was probably hurting for the next 2 weeks, and I was like, yeah, it's definitely different in college. That's when I knew.
Being able to learn from a guy in Luke and Grayson, two guys that were incredible guards throughout their
Mhm.
careers, how big was that for you and having the season that you had, the type of success as a freshman, and also now today, just learning from them as you headed to Florida? How big were they for you?
It was huge. I mean, those guys are proven winners at the college level, so they know how to put in the work to win. They know how to win on and off the court. Those guys are leaders on and off the court. So just being able to learn the different little things that it takes to win helped me a lot.
What would you say is the biggest thing you learned from Grayson? What's the biggest thing you learned from Luke?
From Grayson, I'll probably say just he gives his heart out every game.
Mhm.
Like after the game, you'll see him sweating. He'll need like a cool off rag and stuff like that. Like he's just giving it his all the whole game. And with Luke, I'll just say probably how much studying he does in the basketball. He's always looking at film and stuff like that. He's a coach on the court. So just learn that from him, and Grayson helped a lot.
Out of all those guys, rather it be Nick, Luke, Grayson, Ben, who was the funniest one out of all of them?
The funniest is probably Ben. Ben is hilarious. Yep.
I want to go a little bit in your relationship with Coach Alexander because he obviously has become one of the top coaches at the mid-major level.
Mhm.
You kind of come in as a freshman once again, haven't proven yourself in terms of just being a freshman, first year out there.
Mhm.
What was it like growing that relationship with him from the time he started recruiting you to the point that you got out there on campus and just started kind of asserting yourself and kind of rising up the rotational place on that team?
Yeah, he's a great coach. It's like basketball wise, he's really smart. So just putting me in a position where I could succeed was really helpful for me. And yeah,
Did he expect you to become a starter, one of the key players in this team, or do you think he was even a little bit shocked about how well you were able to produce as a freshman?
he was probably a little shocked to be honest, but I feel like he knew coming in that I was going to have a solid role on the team.
So when you guys were going through the preseason training camp process, and then obviously you didn't start for a couple of games throughout the season, but did you guys have a sit down? And you all of a sudden came and said, we want you to start, Will. You're going to become a guy that we're going to go to, one of the top go-to players on this roster. Did you guys have that conversation, or did it just kind of naturally happen?
Yeah, we had a meeting before the season. They were like, I mean, they don't want me to be surprised if starting came into play at some point during the season. So I was just like, all right, let's do it.
Were you shocked by that? I know you said that was kind of a goal for yourself, but were you shocked to have as well as good of a season as you had your freshman season?
I mean, I definitely wasn't shocked. I put a lot of work in going into the freshman season. So I was gonna have a good year, but to the level that I did, I wasn't expecting to be as good as I had.
When did you start realizing that, this is not necessarily easy, but this is a lot better than I thought it would be? Like you started clicking and saying, I am someone that's ready to produce right now. I know I can be a huge piece of this team. When
Mm.
did it start clicking for yourself?
I'll probably say after our summer workouts, we did a lot of scrimmaging and just going out there and being able to do a lot and scoring, rebounding, and just being able to lead the team in like scrimmage stats. That's when I knew I was like, yeah, I can do this for sure.
So you guys go into the season, you guys end up having another great overall year. Maybe didn't achieve everything the team probably had goals for, but still overall, when you look back, 25-8 record, made it to the NIT, still a pretty solid overall year. Walk us through the ups and downs of the season. Like, what was it like? Just take us through the ups and downs of your first year.
I'll say just being able to play with the guys, it was really fun. I mean, we had a few games where it was tough. The first game against Ohio, that was a tough one. We go into the Orlando tournament with ESPN and losing the championship to Dayton, losing to teams like LSU, Vandy, and NIT. We definitely had some tough losses. Murray State, Moorhead.
Mhm.
There were some tough ones, but I feel like we all got better and stronger as a team because of it.
That is one of the huge things because Coach Alexander obviously knows what it can take to win. He did not give you guys an easy schedule throughout the opening
Mm-hmm.
parts of the year. You guys played a lot of top ranked teams. On top of overall, I know a lot of people that don't study the game and watch all conferences might not realize how special the OVC is. But talking about Morehead State, a special group of guys with top transfers now that we see. You
Mm-hmm.
talk about obviously just the list goes on. Every single team in that conference is pretty loaded. So you guys had a lot of competition, but when you talk about playing those top high major type programs in the beginning parts of the year, how big was that for you guys as a team?
It definitely was. It was a huge to us. Just knowing that we were a mid-major. We knew that we had a lot to prove, and playing against those guys was giving us a stage to prove what we thought we were. So it was definitely huge for us.
There is a certain mentality that comes from being a mid-major player. You guys obviously don't have as much funding as you're going to have now at Florida. You guys don't have all the opportunities. The tension is nowhere near you're going to have at Florida.
Yeah.
What mentality comes with becoming a mid-major because of all of the stuff that goes along with kind of the lifestyle of a mid-major player?
Mm-hmm. I'll just say it goes a lot into just focusing on what you can control. Like I said, just going out there and being able to play and do your best every game, knowing that the main goal is to get to that tournament where you have the big stages you want.
You guys get to the NIT. Obviously, you guys probably want to go to the tournament, the main one, but you guys still make it to NIT. What was it like getting a postseason for yourself in your freshman year?
It was really huge. Of course, I wanted to play in the big tournament, but just playing in NIT was a blessing as well. And being able to play Vandy, which is probably like 5 minutes from Belmont, was huge. It was packed arena, so it was definitely fun.
That was a coming out performance on a national stage for yourself. You've had multiple games. You had a 23-point game early in the year. You had a great season, but this was something that was on television. You had people watching you. It was on a bigger stage. What fueled you in that performance? What allowed you to go out there and have 22 points in that game?
I mean, it just feels like it was a lot more on the line being in NIT and just knowing that it was going to take a lot more to beat Vandy. I know they were amped up for the game. We were too. So just knowing that I was going to have to really perform that game to be able to try to give my team a chance to get to that next round.
You look back at your freshman season. What was your favorite memory that you created?
Favorite memory that we created? It was probably the Lipscomb game. We played Lipscomb. That's a rivalry. And, I mean, we had just lost to Dayton in the championship. So we come back a few days later and play Lipscomb, and we just have a great game. Everybody's clicking, and we end up winning by like 30 points. So that was probably a huge part for our team, me as well.
Following the season, you make the move that we now know what you end up doing, but you enter the transfer portal. Walk through the decision. Why was that the decision, the route that you decided to take? Why did you say, I think I'm ready to go to the SEC, or at that point just say, I'm ready to go to a new school, a new level? What went into that decision?
I mean, I'll just probably say a lot of prayer and discussion with my family. After that, we just thought that me entering the transfer portal was going to be the best decision for my future.
So you get into that portal and you have countless schools offering you or talking to you. Your top four, I believe, came down to Florida, obviously, Wake Forest, Clemson, Georgia Tech.
Yep.
What went into those four schools? Why are those your four favorites?
I guess those schools were just the ones that were the most consistent in recruiting me and just showing me that they were really interested and had a vision and plan for me.
Now, the part that's interesting about the portal is that there is that dead period that kicks in pretty close to when everything gets going. So that occurred for you. And I read a little bit about the story that they were flying out. They had a lot of different schools Coach Golden and them were going after. You ended up meeting them at a restaurant or something. Walk us through a little bit. Like, what exactly happened there?
Okay, so I guess they had a few different guys they were seeing, and I was their last stop before they flew back to Gainesville. So it was actually a storm coming that day, and Coach Sapphire, he texted me. He is like, "There's a storm. Like, do you think we could find anywhere closer to the airport?" Because the restaurant that we were gonna meet at was like 15, 20 minutes away. And so I found a spot like 5 minutes from the airport, and we ended up meeting there, and the meeting went great. And that's when I really knew that Florida's the top of my list, and that I really enjoyed what they had planned for me. So
the dead period kicks in then, but the very first time that it's done, you go out and take your visit there. What was that visit like?
It was really good. I mean, just being able to build a better relationship with the coaching staff, the players on the team, being able to see the campus facilities. It was really great.
It obviously sold you. So I want you to go a little bit deeper. From the time you stepped foot on campus out there in Gainesville to the time you left, what's everything you got to go experience, and just how special of a visit was it?
It was really special. I mean, I got to go downtown Gainesville. I got to watch the guys practice. I got to hang out with all the guys. I'll just say, like, I was around the coaches the whole visit. So being around those guys and getting to know who they truly were and stuff like that was helpful. And I'll say probably with Coach Golden, I've been talking to him almost every day since I entered the portal. So just building that connection with him and then being able to see it more for myself in person, it confirmed everything that I thought about him in the program as well.
When did it click and you said, this is my home. I know I'm going to become a Florida Gator. When did that click for yourself?
I'll probably say it was my second day on the visit. My parents and I were on a golf cart touring campus with was one of the guys, and I was just like, I can really see myself being here. Like, this is where I want to be. So that was when I knew.
Did you tell coach on that visit, or you take time to come back home and say, okay, let me think through it, pray through it, and then you went and told coach, or when did you end up telling Coach Golden that you're going to become a Gator?
It was right before they dropped me back off at the airport. We had a little meeting in his office, and he was like, he was just telling me how much they wanted me and stuff. And I was like, yeah, you don't have to tell me anymore. I'm in. So that was definitely an exciting moment.
So what was his reaction when you told him?
Oh, he jumped out of his chair, gave me and my parents a big hug, and everybody was excited. So it was definitely one to remember.
I want to go a lot more into Coach Golden because he is relatively new, and not just new to Florida. He's a new coach. He's only been coaching for 3 years prior to this at San Francisco. He's done an incredible job out there. But a lot of people obviously had questions. He's coming from mid-major, coming to the SEC, one of the strongest building conferences right now. And so far, he's done incredible, landing yourself, landing Alex, bringing back Colin, and all these guys. So he clearly has, at least for now, we see an ability to recruit, just like some of the other great SEC programs.
Yeah.
What is it about him? How does he land guys like yourself and Alex and all these other guys? Like, what makes Coach Golden such a special coach?
I mean, I feel like he's really smart when it comes to basketball, and then off the court, he's just relatable. Like, I feel like he's one of those coaches that you can talk to about anything, and you can tell that he has a true connection and he wants to be connected to his players. So just being able to have a relationship with the head coach like that is huge.
So what is he like off the court? Is he funny? Is he just kind of laid back, cool? Like, what is Coach Golden like off the court?
Oh, he's funny. He's definitely funny. He's cool. I mean, he's a sneakerhead. He has a lot of Jordans and stuff like that. So he can definitely relate to us players. So that was one thing that I've noticed, and it's really interesting to see.
You haven't got to spend too much time with him yet, but what's your favorite memory so far that you created with Coach Golden?
Favorite memory so far is probably, so we go on a visit and we're in the gym, and I'm just shooting around by myself, and he is like, all right, let's have a shooting contest. And he beats me. He hits like 15 in a row. I'm like, it's no way he's shooting this good. And I missed 2 or 3 of them. And I was just like, yeah, he's definitely different. But I was surprised that he could shoot it that well.
So when you're looking at him as a coach, why should Florida Gator fans be excited? Because Florida is a unique brand. It's one of the better basketball brands out there. So obviously I'd say probably top 10, if not top 15, but probably close to top 10, I'd say. It's a great program. And it hasn't been that they've been horrible the past few years. They still have been a tournament team besides this year, but still a pretty solid program. But it's not a national championship contender. It hasn't been at the level that they're capable of being at. So why should Florida Gator fans be excited for the future with Coach Golden now?
I mean, Coach Golden, he's invested into bringing Florida back to the national championship stage, and he's going to do whatever it takes. He's invested. You can tell he loves being in Gainesville, and he's definitely going to take it to some special places again.
Something we've seen glimpses on videos, but I've also heard now from some people that a lot of former Gator players have started getting involved now with this process. And I know they've been a lot more out front talking to players, or at least having some sort of impact. I like Chandler Parsons, Bradley Beal, I believe, too, in a certain sense. Walk us a little bit. Like, have you got to talk to any former Gators? And if so, like, what's been their role in your recruiting process, or have you even been able to talk to them?
I haven't been able to talk to any personally, but they're invested too as well. They definitely don't mind hitting up guys. I know, like Chandler Parsons, he reposted Alex Fudge's picture on his Instagram, and he was like, "You look good in the Gator uniform" and stuff like that. So those guys are definitely invested into getting guys that will bring Florida back to a place where it was.
When you talk about yourself, your goal will be NBA. That's the ultimate goal for yourself, rather be after this next year or a couple of years, whatever. When you look at guys, especially at yourself at a position like Bradley Beal, how excited does that make you to say, he also was fantastic, he's a special player, but you could become the next NBA-type NBA player from Florida? What does that mean to you?
It definitely means a lot. Just knowing guys like myself in my position that came through that program and did things and went on to the NBA level and are being successful at the NBA, it definitely helps a lot and gives me a lot to look up to.
So this team's still coming together. A big addition was Colin. Him coming back now. He's going to be an all-conference type player. Yeah, Kawasi now decided he just took his name back out of the portal. I think you two will be a special deal. Alex Fudge is someone I think is an NBA prospect for next year at least. You guys got a lot of guys. Myron, I know, is coming back as well. Niles. This team has more pieces moving, though. But out of the foundation so far, how special is this team looking?
I think we're going to be really special. I feel like being having a new coach, new staff, there's a lot of questioning going on, but I feel like we have a chance to become really special.
I know there's still going to be moving pieces, as I said. Are there any targets that you're reaching out to? Is there someone that you'd say you'd love to have come out to Florida and join you guys?
I'm definitely trying to recruit Terry Roberts from Bradley. I'm trying to get him on the wave. So we'll see how that goes.
If he does decide to join this team, how much better will you guys become?
We'll become a lot better. I mean, that guy, he can hoop for sure. So I feel like he'll take us even further than where we'll go without him, for sure.
A lot of fans will be excited for you. So take fans a little bit through what you're going to be bringing this program. When you get out there to Florida and you start playing next season, what are you bringing to the Gators?
I'll just say I'm a pure competitor. I can do a lot of different things on the court as far as scoring on all three levels, rebounding, getting in passing lanes, making my teammates better. I just feel like I do a lot of things that result in wins.
When you look at the SEC, it's loaded. We know Arkansas is going to possibly go on as the number one team. We know Auburn's going to reload. Bama's going to be great. Kentucky is Kentucky. The list goes on. Who is your favorite or the team you're most excited to go up against next season?
I'll definitely say Auburn. I can't wait to play them.
Is there a certain reason for that, or is it just someone that you just want to go play against?
I mean, it's definitely a little background to it, but I just can't wait. That's going to be a fun one.
Now, I have to imagine that's to do a little bit with possibly growing up out there in Georgia, being pretty close to out there, though. What's it going to be like when you possibly go home, play a school like Georgia, playing those teams that's just down close to where you're from, family could go to? What's that going to be like?
It's definitely going to be fun. I mean, looking in the stands and seeing a lot of family will make it a lot better to play in. And just knowing that my family can travel to a lot of different games, Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, Georgia, all those games they'll be able to make. So that'll be a lot.
Now, this goes back a little bit, but out of that top four, if Florida was never in the picture for yourself, what school do you think you would have ended up at?
It probably would have been between Georgia Tech and probably Clemson.
Well, I do want to also talk about your future because I mentioned, I know some people started saying you still have to always prove yourself this year and grow as a player, but the NBA is something that you have the body for. At a 6'5" guard, you're a pure shooting guard with the ability to still bring the kind of run that combo guard spot, but you can be a strong shooting guard at the NBA level. And you have the wingspan, 6'11". Your body is pretty much exactly identical to a guy like Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah.
Where do you look at in terms of that? That's obviously something that you have a goal for yourself. What do you think you need to improve on to be able to get to that level?
That's definitely a comparison that I look at a lot. I feel like being able to be a consistent shooter, 3-and-D type player, being able to shoot 38% or higher. I'll say being able to guard the other team's best player, being able to read different situations on defense, get in passing lanes and stuff like that. I feel like all those things will help me a lot, and as well as like being able to be better with reads off ball screens is stuff that I'll be working on that'll improve me a lot.
Besides the transfer portal, another huge thing that's still relatively new to the college basketball landscape is NIL. And that is something that I mentioned earlier. That was the big thing for Coach Golden to be able to unlock is how to utilize that. So I have to imagine that he brought that up to you at least some point, the recruiting process, or since you commit. So what does NIL stuff look like? And how excited are you kind of get involved with this? Because obviously I know there probably was some form of stuff out at Belmont, but Florida is a much higher level. So what's kind of the pitches it had for you in terms of NIL?
I mean, just him being able to give us opportunities and letting us know different ways which we can use NIL to make our brand bigger. I guess they're gonna have someone that can teach us about how to improve our brand and stuff like that, which will help us with a lot of NIL opportunities. Is something that'll help not only me but the team in general.
Did NIL have any impact on the recruiting process, or was that more something that added up on top of everything else?
It was probably something that just added up on top of everything else.
So this obviously is something that maybe it happens this year, maybe it happens in the NBA, but if you could pick one brand in the entire world, rather that be a clothing brand, a shoe brand, car company, the list goes on, any company in the world to sponsor you, who would be your dream NIL deal with?
I'll probably say Jordan. Jordan would be tough.
Well, I know that all guys do want to be remembered for something. So when you do leave Florida in the future, what do you want to be remembered for what you achieve both on and off the court throughout your career there?
I'll say on the court, I definitely want to be remembered for winning championships, being a huge part of winning championships, and off the court, just being a great guy for Florida in general, just being an ambassador for the program, the school, just being someone that a lot of young guys can look up to.
I know we saw you in the pictures rocking number 4 throughout your photo shoots, and that's obviously what you rocked out there at Belmont. Is that still the number you plan on rocking out with this upcoming year?
Oh yeah, that's the number.
So is there any backstory behind that? Like, why is number 4 the number you like to rock out with?
I'll probably say I won a state championship in number 4, so it was like I win in it. I can win it anywhere.
Absolutely, man. Well, something I do want to wrap up talking about is your faith, and I know you are a believer, and we talked about that a little bit. But to end up kind of wrapping up about that, how would you say God's helped get you to the point that you're at today?
I mean, everything that I've gotten and received is because of God. So just knowing that He's always there for me, He's guiding me throughout my whole life is helpful a lot. And growing up, He's been a huge part of me and my family and what we believe in. So just having that foundation has really, really helped me keep peaceful and stuff throughout all this. And just knowing that He's at the forefront of everything is very, very relieving for me.
When you look back at all the stuff you've gone through, the ups and downs of your career, where would you say is the biggest moment that you've seen God show up and help out in your life?
I'll probably say my junior year for sure. That was when I was questioning, like, because after my sophomore year, I didn't have any offers, and I was like, I mean, what's going on? I played a good season of AAU, I still don't have anything. I was like, am I going to be a Division I player at all? And then out of nowhere, I started getting opportunities. So that's when I knew I was like, He has everything laid out for me. I just got to stay patient and trust in Him.
I know that even if you grew up in a Christian household, that there is that certain point where it's no longer just you just know the stories and it's kind of brought upon you from parents or something or someone else. You kind of have that own personal relationship. So when would you say that started for yourself? When did you truly start trusting in God and have that own one-on-one bond with Him?
I'll say probably going to college is what really changed that for me. I mean, being in high school, I was always around my parents. So I was mostly getting everything, going to church with them and stuff like that. But being out in college, you have to get it on your own. So learning how to talk to God on my own and try to get in church, watch services and stuff like that. That's when I really knew that I was going to have to get it on my own and stay close with Him.
Your overall brand will continue to grow over the next few years as you go through college and then MBA or professional, whatever God's got in store for you. How do you plan to be able to continue to spread His word and be His light to the world?
I mean, I feel like as I continue to get better and perform at a high level, I can just use that stage to get out His name and just let everybody know that all my gifts come from Him.
Now, I know that a lot of believers do put something out there on social media or whatever to kind of show that they are a believer. And there's nothing wrong with guys that don't do that. But you have chosen to be more vocal. I know you have the tattoo on your arm that you've always shown off. You have it in your both Instagram and Twitter bios. On Twitter, I know you have Proverbs 3, chapter 3, verse 6 on there. What's led you to be so outspoken about your faith and being willing to be His light on a national platform?
I mean, I just feel like with all that He's done for me, like I have no choice but to give all the glory to Him. So just knowing that everything I got comes from Him really, really motivates me to share that with everybody else.
I'm guessing that Proverbs chapter 3, verse 6 is your favorite verse. So and that verse is just put out there. It's in all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your path straight.
Yeah.
What is that verse? Why is that the one that stands out the most to you?
I mean, I just feel like it's staying like it goes with everything. So as far as me on the basketball court, if I'm giving Him the glory and saying that everything that I got comes from Him, nothing but blessings can come from that. And I'll keep improving and getting better and showing what I can do on the basketball court. So.
Absolutely, man. Well, my final thing for you, give Florida fans your 3 biggest goals that you have set for your Florida career.
Okay. I'll say first team all SEC. I want an SEC championship, and I want to make it to the Final Four for sure.
Well, Will, congratulations once again, man, on the commitment. Enjoy the rest of the offseason, and I can't wait to see what God got next for you out there, man. Keep being the light, and I appreciate taking time to come on today.
Yep, I appreciate you, man.
Of course, welcome on, man. God bless.
Got you. You too.